It's a problem which has now taken limelight because of what transpired between Darshan and his wife Vijay Lakshmi. But marital bliss is many times overshadowed with domestic violence and abuse. The question is not who is abusing whom, but the question is what has to be done when the abuse gets out of hand. Before we go deeper into this particular program and try to understand the pros and cons of what many married couples go through, the big news that we are tracking this hour: Vijay Lakshmi, wife of actor Darshan, has been discharged from the hospital, the Gayatri Hospital. Vijay Lakshmi now leaves the hospital in an ambulance. The latest that we are getting in this developing story: Vijay Lakshmi, actor Darshan's wife, discharged from the hospital, Gayatri Hospital in Vijayanagar. Vijay Lakshmi leaves the hospital in an ambulance. Vijay Lakshmi has been admitted to the hospital for the last 12 to 16 hours. She underwent trauma from her husband, is what she has alleged. She has now been discharged from the hospital. She leaves the hospital in an ambulance. Actor Darshan's wife, Vijay Lakshmi, there leaving the hospital in an ambulance. Through the day, we've seen some leading lights and dignitaries from the film industry making a beeline to the hospital, trying to work out a compromise between the warring couple, actor Darshan and his wife Vijay Lakshmi. Domestic violence, accusations of threats, physical abuse, torture. These are the different angles that this particular story has taken so far. Ambrish has already stepped in and said that he will take responsibility and make sure that the actor and his wife will not fight ever again. But this particular problem between actor Darshan and his wife has also highlighted another underlying problem in the Indian society. When a husband and a wife start leading a life together, is it always happily ever after like we see in the movies, or is there more to it? How many couples fight? How many couples go through their entire marital life without actually loving each other? Is there abuse that comes in? Abuse can be in different forms, and it's not just about husband beating the wife. It can be the other way around. There is some complicated laws. There are some complicated problems. Who ends up benefiting because of these laws? Who ends up paying more because of these laws? Are these laws a deterrent? Let's try to get more details and in-depth analysis of this particular problem that many couples go through, maybe silently. Joining me today in our News 9 studios, I'm joined by Naveen Roland. He is Anhara's husband and also someone who is now an activist. He's also a counselor for CRISP. Naveen, welcome to the show. Also joined by Surleen Sarkar, a harassed husband and also a man activist, now someone who is trying to highlight the glaring errors and the loopholes in law which are being misused. Surleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Also joined by Mr. A.S. Ponnana, advocate and someone who will try to hopefully get the medium or the middle path in this ongoing fight between husband and wife. Mr. Ponnana, welcome to the show. Also joined by Pratibha Sindur. She is an activist and also a victim in the past. Pratibha, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Also joined by Vani Darur, a women's activist, throwing us more light into the kind of tortures and the abuses that women face in marriage. Vani, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's start with a basic and a fundamental question. What can be transpired as abuse? A husband and a wife fighting. We've heard through the day. A lot of leading lights and dignitaries have said it is common in a married life. Marital life is all about problems and trying to overcome those problems. Mr. Ponnana, I'll try to get you in and start this discussion. When does a husband-wife problem or marital problem goes out of hand? When do you seek legal help? When do you define, okay, this is not acceptable?
Well, in law, under the protection of women under the Domestic Violence Act, preventing a woman from going out of the house, preventing her from wearing the kind of clothes that she wants to wear, preventing her from talking to people that she wants to talk to, interact with, is domestic violence under that act. But when you come to under the IPC, that is where it is cruelty against the woman, then the definition of cruelty is a little more narrower than it is under the Domestic Violence Act. So depending on which legislation the woman would propose to use, accordingly you can define abuse. But
Okay.
abuse is a very elaborate definition under the Protection of Women under the Domestic Violence Act, whereas under the IPC it is restricted to cruelty against women.
What's interesting that preventing a woman from going out of the house can also be considered as an abuse. I'll come to you, Vani, on this. Now, normally the society, the makeup or the feeling is that I'm doing this because my husband doesn't want me to do this. It is a part of the compromise to make marriages work. How much do you think women sacrifice and they never realize that they're actually being abused?
For a woman, the day she gets married, everything is different because she is going into somebody else's house. It's not that somebody is coming into her house. She is going to somebody else's house. Starting from their food habits, cultural habits, everything will be different. So from the day one, everything that she does is different. Everything, it's very different. She has to adjust to the people, to their culture, to their food habits, the way they think, their morals, their culture, everything is different. Women for thousands of years have been tuned without their knowledge, not even consciously, that the way they get tuned, the way they accept the in-laws as their own people is so natural and normal for a woman. She doesn't even think, that she has made this change, she has accepted them, and she forgets, she doesn't even realize that she has left something behind which is of her own. That is her real self. That is her real self. Where she comes here, transforms into somebody, or at least is expected to be transformed into something else. And nowadays, women are getting educated, are much more liberated. They have a little bit of financial strength compared to earlier days. So now when they want to answer back a question, they feel these are rebels. So it's still a very few percentage of women who even do this. I think most of the women still don't question anything. They do it because they feel it is my family. Let me not go against it, because if I go against it, there'll be commotion, there'll be a lot of fights in the family, and especially if there are children and they think, for the sake of my children, for the sake of the name of my family, the honor of my parents, I should not talk against anything. I should silently suffer everything. This is very natural. Even when people are going through this, they don't even know they're going through this.
Okay.
So there is so much imbibed in them, they don't even realize. They're not even aware that it could be an abuse. They're not even aware that if they go out, they can find out that they have rights, they can fight against it. They don't even know there are people to support them. They don't know anything. Even if you conduct a seminar, say a legal seminar, to make women aware of these things, you will not find many women coming to attend it. It's not easy for a woman to come and sit and listen to her own rights.
Okay, getting beaten from your husband is not just the only form of abuse. There are different kinds of abuses there. Mr. Purana, just coming to you quickly, you spoke about a woman and her rights. Now, talking about marital life and partners, what are the laws concerning husbands? Because there is abuse of both kinds, towards husband and towards wife.
Yeah, I understand. See, now what the law has done, what the legal system prevailing in our country, and which is for a specific reason. The reason being that the woman has always, in society been the sufferer. So due to the culture that we have adapted, whatever may be the reasons, the woman is considered to be the sufferer. So to balance this in a marriage, the laws are lopsided, if I can say that, more one-sided towards the woman. This is to protect her from the abuse that she has gone through in history. So to protect her, the law is very, very supportive of the woman. Now it is for organizations like where our friend is coming from to make, spread the awareness that the law protects the woman in a marriage. There is no protection to man in a marriage. In fact, I can say that there is no protection in a marriage to a man, whereas a woman, there is protection for her against abuse in law. So this awareness has to be created in everybody, and if the woman is aware of her legal rights, I am sure the abuse can be curtailed by using the law.
Being aware of your legal rights. In fact, the big question that we are asking you, is your husband beating you? Has your wife ever beaten you? These are questions that are very difficult to answer. If you want to share it with us, please call us in and let us know your views and your thoughts. You can share your experiences with us on those numbers flashing on your screens. I have with me Pratibha here, Pratibha Sindur. Pratibha, if I'm not mistaken, you were also a victim once in your life.
Yeah.
You heard the arguments here, you heard about the laws and all those aspects. But as a wife, when you're being abused by your husband, just take us through that experience of yours. And when did you realize that enough is enough? What led to the tipping point?
See, basically I've been married since 10 years now. I haven't still got my divorce yet. So we are fighting for this since almost 4-5 years now. So